Hello, hello, everyone. So, got a new story today. It says here, heart doctor who drugged and raped nearly a dozen women sobs during guilty plea. Verdict. I think it's verdict. This is crazy. A heart doctor? He's doing more than stealing hearts. This is wild. I mean, his hairline alone is wild. That's crazy. But you're a doctor. You know how much free action you can get just being a doctor? They'll throw it at you, buddy. All right.
Would you please stand with your counsel for the reading of the verdicts?
A Denver cardiologist called one of the most prolific serial rapists in Colorado history.
Yeah, he looks crazy. Who just opens their eyes wide? Collar flared out and
Sobbed in court as a judge read his guilty verdict. He was convicted of dozens of sexual assault charges, all connected back to a scheme to target women on dating apps. We're analyzing the case and further legal action with the man representing his victims. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
that's crazy, man. Like, how
Pouring
weird do
into
you
police.
have to be
More women accuse Matthew
to do that to women as a doctor? As a doctor, it's free. They can't wait to give it to you. You're a cash cow.
of drugging and possibly assaulting them. The women's stories were all very similar. He would connect with them on a dating app like Hinge or Tinder, and then they'd meet up for something like brunch or a dog walk. They said that the dates would be conveniently located near his home so he could invite them back for a drink.
Yeah, no
and
shit.
The victims say
that's all normal behavior so far. It's normal behavior. You're dating off a freaking dating app. It's a hookup app. Let's not, you know what I mean? He's not looking for a wife. So yeah, you know what I mean? The date and then the convenience. You got to get in there as fast as you can. Smash, dash. You don't want to, you know what I mean? You don't want to get feelings involved. And now she's stalking you, and then she's ruining your other dates. You want it to be quick enough where the passion is right there, and then before she can even regret anything, you're already gone, and she's too embarrassed to come around and try to initiate anything. She's going to be waiting for your call instead of contacting you.
those drinks were drugged. Now, most of the victims had memory loss.
Now it gets weird. Now he's drugging them. They would have done it willingly. Why are you doing this?
So they ended up back in their own home without any idea of how they got there.
You took them back home? You just like look at their ID and then to find their man, that's insanity.
In fact, one of the women says when she refused to see him again, he sent her photos of her naked in a hot tub. Matthews eventually faced more than 36 counts, accused of drugging 11 women and sexually assaulting 9 of them. Some of the assaults dated all the way back to 2019. So after weeks of trial, the jury handed down its verdict.
Jury verdict, count 1.
I can only imagine how terrifying that is. To be like, oh, I don't want to see you, and then the person just sends you photos of you in a position you don't even remember doing anything. Like, dude, that's got to be like nightmare fuel right there.
It is Roman numeral 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Stephen Matthews, guilty of, choose only one. It is sexual assault, incapable of appraising nature of conduct.
Incapable of appraising.
Answer the interrogatory. We further find, did the defendant cause submission through substantial impairment? Signature or checkbox is yes.
And it went on like this through dozens and dozens of counts as Matthews started to break down. You could see him hunch over several times and start crying.
Jury verdict, count 5.
You're not the victim, guy.
Sexual assault incapable of appraising nature of conduct. It is Roman numeral 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Stephen Matthews, guilty of sexual assault.
Just shave it off. Why would you keep hair like this? You have babies with better hairlines than you.
Incapable of appraising nature of conduct, signature by the foreperson. Did the defendant cause submission through substantial impairment? It is yes, signature by the foreperson.
Matthews shakes his head, appears to be in complete disbelief.
Smiling now? Oh, no. He's in pain.
Which is, I don't know.
Is that his lawyer?
Kind of surprising given all the evidence the prosecution had. They called almost 60 witnesses. There was around 500 pieces of evidence in this trial, including videos and photos he'd taken of his victims. Matthews was convicted on 35 of the 38 counts of sexual assault and assault, except for 3 sexual assault charges that were related to one particular victim. He was found guilty of a lesser charge of third-degree assault of that victim, too. It takes the judge more than 10 minutes to read the list of absolutely heinous counts that Matthews was convicted of. All of them are felonies. And when the judge told everyone they could be seated, Matthews put his head down on the table in his hands and appeared to sob. The defense has noted that there was no physical evidence of drugging, that there was no drugs found inside Matthews' home, that other than Plan B and contraceptives, there was nothing there. They also pointed out that most of the women never had sexual assault exams done, so how do we know what really happened? The 36-year-old has been locked up since his arrest in March of 2023, currently being held behind bars on a $5 million bond. He's going to be sentenced at a hearing in October, and it's our understanding he could be sentenced to 25 years in prison. Now, the women will be allowed to give victim impact statements if they want to, and Matthews, of course, will have an opportunity to speak as well, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens from that. Now, after the verdict
they have all that
down,
evidence. I'm taking their word by it that he's actually, they have evidence and he's actually guilty. Because if he's not, and these women are just like, they feel slighted because they got smashed and dashed by a doctor. That would be crazy. But it's very unlikely. I think it would be very unlikely that they would like all collude to take this guy down because he didn't commit or whatever. I find that very unlikely. So I'm gonna steer on the side of, and plus all the evidence they have against him and that he was convicted. I'm gonna lean on the side that he's guilty.
Former district attorney in Denver called Matthews, quote, one of the most prolific serial rapists in the history of the state of Colorado. Matthews had previously agreed with the Colorado Medical Board to suspend his medical license as his case made its way through the criminal process. Looks like he won't be getting that back. The current Denver DA, Beth McCann, released a statement saying, quote, Stephen Matthews took advantage of nearly a dozen women in the most egregious way imaginable, and for that, he will now pay a significant price. I hope today's verdict provides a measure of comfort to all the victims, whose courage throughout this case should be an inspiration to us all. By the way, talking about a civil lawsuit, did you know that our sponsor of this episode, Front Fee?
This case, and I think the people who've seen his conduct and know the totality of it, it seemed more manipulation and more acting.
You and I talked before you came on here that you had been following the case.
I don't think he was acting. I think
what did you think was the most significant pieces of evidence that were presented to this jury?
I think either he's guilty and he was hoping that there would be no evidence to convict him, or which is the most unlikely, is that he's actually innocent and he's just steamrolled by the system. But I don't think that was the case.
I think just the sheer volume of witnesses that were testifying to the same circumstances and facts, and they made these reports early on, and they made them without any ability to really coordinate any of the testimony.
Were you surprised that the jury
they probably
came back
didn't know each other, talk to each other, anything like that,
and found him not guilty on 3 charges?
Well, I think it actually gives the jury's verdict a little bit more credibility in terms of keeping it, not allowing a potential of appeal, because it really shows the jury went through, they took their job serious, and they measured the facts against the evidence. And while they didn't find, the 3 charges, they found the same. They found him guilty with the same lesser degree charges on that victim.
Right. So in other words, they didn't find him guilty of the sexual assault charges, but they did find him guilty of a lesser charge of assault with respect to that victim. Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes if you have a lot of charges, the jury comes back and finds the defendant guilty across the board and comes back within 30 minutes. Obviously, the circumstances of the case can be different, but that could be an argument that could be raised. Yeah, they just were quick to rush. They compounded everything together. They didn't carefully assess the evidence here. That would seem to be a very difficult argument to make. Was it tough for your clients during this trial?
If I was him, I would tell whatever makeup department he has, tell him not to do that to his face. It looks weird. It's very. I don't like it. I don't like whatever the hell is going on there. He doesn't look like a real person. It's creepy. Yeah, just don't put the makeup on your face. You're a grown ass man. Just go out there with your natural wobbly nose and weird face. All right, let's just no makeup.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a very, very difficult emotional thing. Really inspirational that they had so much strength and courage to come forward.
You look very inspired, sir.
To go through it, and some of the feedback that we've gotten has been that it was therapeutic, it was helpful, and it's a show of strength to be able to tell your story and to potentially
under, I imagine, cross-examination by Matthew's attorneys.
It was tough, but the truth is the truth, and the difficulty of sharing.
I don't care about the
embarrassing moments,
freaking aspect of goddamn trying to put this guy away. They should be goddamn excited to be like, that's the son of a bitch. Get him out of here. I don't.
Horrible moments where they was very, very. There's a couple potential claims that can be brought. There's a negligence claim. There's a potential for a premise liability act. There's a potential product liability claim, and they all really stem around the failure of Hinge. And
what? How did the app fail? What are you talking about? These are hookup apps. What you trying to tell me? These women, they barely swipe on any of these dudes, but they see doctor and they swipe on this guy, and they not only decide to start messaging him back, but they actually go out to meet him, and the app is what failed? Are you serious?
In Tinder, which are owned by Match Group, that when he was reported as a sexual assaulter, as a rapist, and
but there was no case. So like, how would they even know that's true?
They said he was going to be taken down, and then he remained on their site being promoted by them.
Yes, because he was popular, because the ladies liked him. That's why he was being promoted, because the ladies liked him. They want more women on the site so that more men would come in and pay. So they're gonna promote what the ladies like, and they like doctors.
For years.
And have they responded to this lawsuit?
So the lawsuit hasn't been filed yet.
Okay.
Of course not, because it's stupid. And how's the app liable for that? The algorithm took care of all that stuff, and he didn't get guilty verdict until just now.
And have they given any indication about how they will respond to this?
Look, it's standard playbook on this, that they're going to say they didn't have a duty to act. They're going to say,
and plus he was in custody. So what was the danger?
Under the Communications Decency Act, they may have liability there. We don't think any of that has any validity here. There were repeated reports of him being a rapist. They said they were going to remove him, and they didn't, period.
But if they have that kind of immunity in a way, how do you pierce that?
Well, we don't think it applies for cases.
You don't think it applies, but you'll try anyways and you'll fail.
Like this. And so that's certainly their argument that they're going to try to make, but it really has no basis here. They took affirmative action with in regards to Matthews. They promoted him. They responded to him being reported as a rapist and said that they would remove him. Ultimately, they didn't. And so they failed to do what they
must
promised
have
they
done
would
it
do.
eventually.
Have you seen any other cases where this has been successful? You go after social media companies, you go after dating app companies, where
Guarantee you
someone
haven't.
is a victim of sexual assault or assault in general. That platform was used as a conduit for people to communicate and meet up.
Yeah, I mean it's factual dependent, right? It's whether
So, in other words, no. You're about to filibuster. The answer is no.
whether they were just a platform or whether they took any actions. And here they clearly took actions, and this is going to fall outside of Section 230.
And what are you hoping for in terms of damages?
Yeah, what are you hoping for, buddy?
You know,
Money?
I think maybe I should update you since last time I was on here. You know, last October we talked. Since then, we went and shared some of the stories of what was going on with the Colorado Coalition Against Sexual Assault, CCASA. They helped champion a bill in Colorado. It was the Online Facilitated Misconduct and Remote Tracking Bill. Basically, it mandates that companies like Match Group, they adopt a safety policy that they have to do, and then they have to report to the Attorney General's office when they remove users for safety. And so that was a big fight. That was introduced January 10th of 2020.
Okay. So they're not going to win the case, but they're trying to push a bill forward to kind of regulate these dating sites. And I think that's the victory they are hoping for, because they're definitely not going to win any damages.
Before it passed April 30th of 2024, and then signed by the governor June 5th of 2024, and is effective August 7th of 2024. So since this story came out,
it's not effective yet.
Since our survivors told their story, there has been a bit of change in the law that helps protect women and people who have been
change that's not effective
raped and harmed
yet
on online dating platforms. Match Group had 3 separate lobbyists, lobby groups that were involved in that, and I know they were fighting this bill very hard. So it passed. It was significant improvement, but we still have a lot more work to do.
This guy as a politician. Anyways, till next time. That doctor, man, I don't understand. He was more successful than 99% of men on dating apps. I mean, shit, I'm successful on dating apps. I'm not a doctor. But most men are not. And he why would you go to that level? It was so unnecessary. You gotta be just like sick. You gotta be sick in the head when people are giving you something for free and you still decide to steal. You're crazy. Anyways, until next time.